Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night once again. All right. So, of course, there are TV spots for Avengers Endgame as there is for any film, and I've kind of ignored some of the TV spots for a little whatever because I thought the last thing they had showed was going to be our last trailer or anything, but as it was only a minute. I mean, it seemed kind of odd to me. So I see that last night there was released a trailer, I guess, called "To the End." I mean, it's 2 minutes, so I'm like, oh, jeez. I mean, it's an actual trailer, and that means it's going to be all over the place. So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and check out these two spots. I'm kind of doing them in reverse, so you may have to bear with me, or I may have to do some edit cuts. But anyways, let's go ahead and do these spots. I believe one is called Mission. The next is called something shot, and then till the end. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Okay, so they are going to be separated. Okay. Okay, so team building. No mistakes. Okay, so just from those two spots, we see the first one, Cap giving, of course, his kind of speech and says, you know your teams, you know your missions, so they're splitting apart. So we get that, and then the No Mistake kids. I guess this is another part of what was I heard was released at CinemaCom, where there's a scene where Rock hit. It's like who's been in space and was warns about nobody, no no one better throw up in his ship or whatnot. But okay. So let's go ahead and check out this To the End, I guess, last trailer, I'm guessing, because it comes out next week. So, mm, okay. Hey, Bomb back! Oh, okay. Going through all the films. I'm sure we'll finish it. Oh, that's awesome. Wow. Okay, so I'm glad I watched that. Like I said, I was of course so worried it was going to be more like footage, trailer stuff or whatever, but I love that. I mean, just kind of a retrospective, going just down the list in order of everything that has come before, little snippets, little morsels for anyone who has who's interested in this, but for some reason hasn't seen every one of them. There you go. I mean, seriously, there you go. All of them, all of which, of course, are on the shelf. But wow, and again, it just makes you think again. Really, never has there been anything of this scope, in the sense of, I mean, the closest things the closest thing I can compare to it as far as um, movies in a series, of course, stuff that's sequentially. I mean, as far as how many, I mean, there are plenty of franchises that have large numbers. Of course, you look at your Friday the 13th, your Nightmare on Elm Streets, your Halloweens, which of course most of them have been recanted now. um, Star Trek's, Star Wars, of course, which, one of my other big loves, Star Wars. But all of those, I can't, I mean, and of course, Bond. Bond is the only, I mean, Bond, I guess, would be the only one, again, that could think of the sheer amount of movies entries with a series of characters. But of course, the thing with Bond always was, there you had your Sean Connery, you had your Roger Moore, your Timothy Dalton, your Pierce Brosnan. Bond was always different people through the years, and only a few of them were actually sequential. I mean, these ones with Daniel Craig, I believe, have actually been, sequential, same timeline and whatnot. But as far as all the other Bonds, I think most of them were almost all of them were one and dones. Maybe one or two of them, in the 60s, 70s had connections. But never has there been, especially in this time frame, a 10-year period, 22 films in a connected universe, a overlying storyline, which of course they're, individual movies, which they have their own moments, again, as much as people might complain about, oh, I gotta watch this one, I gotta watch this one, or whatever. That's for some of them that is the case. Yeah, I mean, it's the MCU, but overall, you can look at it again from the beginning. Iron Man, you know, the first one that started off self-contained in itself. Incredible Hulk, self-contained within itself. Captain America, I mean, a self-contained movie in itself. Movie, and then of course the little threads. Prepare. I mean, Thor. All of them self-contained movies. The first ones with just that tiny little bit of connectivity again, because this is one universe, and then of course builds up to Iron Man 2, and we get the Avengers, and then going down the line again, when we get Guardians. I mean, well, Iron Man 3, which again completely, again, it's in the world of the MCU, but completely devoid from the rest of the MCU, because it's Tony's own adventure, if you will, and dealing with his stress from the Avengers. I mean, like I said, then you get films like Guardians of the Galaxy, completely, completely way off contained within itself. I mean, down the line you get Ant-Man, its own little story again. I mean, there was this scene where they went to the Avengers compound, and Falcon was in there, but still in itself a fairly contained story. Doctor Strange, other than the post credit scene, with Thor, there's a completely separate from the rest of the universe. Again, like I said, I mean, you have things like Civil War, which was a great film. Not Civil War, excuse me, Winter Soldier, and then we'll get to Civil War. Winter Soldier, which is a great spy espionage type movie with Cap and Black Widow. And then we introduce into Falcon and Winter Soldier and stuff. I mean, again, this is part of the MCU, but it's and I mean it's dealing with Shield, which is the major thing, and that one thing that changed the landscape of a large part of the landscape going forward in the movies, and Agents of Shield, even though. There's that whole tenuous relationship. And any of you, if you watch any of my show videos, you've heard my rants concerning Agents of Shield and Runaways and Cloak and Dagger, and anyways, connectivity. Um, but I'm saying still, when Shield fell, that changed a large part of the landscape, which again, part of the plan, Feige's master plan, and everything. But I'm saying it in itself was still a fairly self-contained film. And then again, you had Civil War, which was Avengers 2.5 by some people's, and of course, I forgot to mention Age of Ultron. I mean, I'm not going down every single one, but my point is, again, like I said, then you get your Doctor Strange is, of course, Guardians 2, which is still fairly devoid from the rest of the MCU. Um, Ant-Man and the Wasp, its own little story. I mean, again, you have connective tissues mentioned to the Avengers and this and that, but most of these films have been of course, Thor Ragnarok, have been isolated within themselves. I mean, great stories within themselves where you don't have to necessarily have watched or know what happened in these other films, other than maybe kind of Black Panther, of course, completely devoid from all the MCU. The rest of it, I mean, as far as implications and whatnot, other than the, post scenes and whatnot. And that is so amazing, such great storytelling. I mean, I have to give it to Feige and Marvel because I can't even think of how they've pulled this off over the last 10 years, and thinking of, and of course, Captain Marvel most recently, and how it's going to be going forward. Then it's reintroducing Spider-Man in Civil War, and then having Homecoming, which was a great film in itself. I mean, of course, it had more shades of interconnectivity because you had Iron Man and Happy, and of course, the Avengers compound and whatnot. But still, at its core, it was his movie. It was his adventure. As each of these have been, of course, all the intro movies and then the sequels we've had have still been generally each of their own adventures with a little nod here and there to the greater MCU. So I just completely applaud everything Marvel has done. Again, some of the movies that they're in my mind again, they have not had the MCU doesn't have a bad movie. Yes, there are some that are kind of like a little less desirable. Iron Man 2, 3, Thor Dark World, for instance. I mean, and this and that, but none of them have been god awful terrible. So I just again give total props. Am I a Marvel shill? No. Do I wish I was paid by Marvel? Yes. or like paid to be around Marvel, or all these things, these heroes, these characters I've loved for years and years. That would be like awesome, but or Disney, as they're taking over the world in itself now. Star Wars, Marvel, Fox, many of their properties which I love. Okay. And anyways, that's an alternate reality, thought, dreams, whatever. Um, but yeah, so great, and and you see that last scene after going through all the movies, um, which was in the last trailer, where you see Cap, Iron Man, and Thor, the original three, uh, or the main three, if you will, walking up to Thanos, who's like sitting there on his throne. Like, again, is he weary? Are they just arriving there, ready, just waiting for them? For it's like, okay, let's get this started or whatever. But still, our main three that brought us, of course, with Hawkeye and Black Widow to the Avengers. So and I can't wait to see what they have in store for a Black Widow movie. I'm very interested for that. But anyways, I've ranted. That is my reaction to the video, which is cool. I may have to watch that again. As always, feel free to share, subscribe. Hopefully, give me a like if you like my content. Hit that notification button so you will know when there is more of it. And feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think of that video, of this video, and in general, any thoughts, suggestions, pontifications. Always appreciated. Thanks for watching. Peace.